Hey, good evening, guys. I'm going to give you some notes for geometric sequences, which will be tomorrow for day 62. You will have a daily check on arithmetic sequences, so make sure you do your homework on that. But I'm only going to cover the front side. I gave you this note sheet in class, so you should have this. If you weren't in class, then you can certainly copy the notes down as we go through it. But today in class we talked about arithmetic sequences, and arithmetic meant that we were adding a common number each time in order to get the next number. So when we have a geometric sequence, we don't add a common number. What we actually do is we multiply by a common number. So the numbers in the sequence for a geometric sequence, they don't have a common difference. The numbers in the sequence have what we call a common ratio. And the reason we say ratio is because we could multiply by a fraction, for example 1/2, but if we multiply by the number 2, that could still be written as a ratio in the form of 2/1. And we don't use D. D stands for difference. So for common ratio, we're going to use an R. So the number R is called the common ratio. So what we're looking for here, the pattern we're looking for, is are we multiplying by the same number every time? Okay, now when we did arithmetic today, what we did is we would take one number and we would subtract the previous number to see if we had a common difference. Well, here, since we're doing multiplication, what we'll do is we'll take a number and divide by the previous number to see if we have a common difference. So here we're just trying to determine, or a common ratio, not a common difference, sorry about that. So here we're just trying to determine is it geometric or not, and if it is, then let's get the common ratio. So 2, 4, 8, 16. This one's pretty easy. I mean, if you look at it, 2 times 2 is 4, 4 times 2 is 8, 8 times 2 is 16. So that one is a yes, and my common ratio is 2. Now, if you look at it from the standpoint of division, if I take 4 and divide by 2, I get 2. 8 divided by 4 is 2. 16 divided by 8 is 2. So there is your common ratio for that one. All right, so let's look at the next one here. 12 to 36. So 12 times 3 is 36. 36 times 3 is 108. 108 times 3 is 324, so that is also a yes, and my common ratio is 3. And here again, if we did the division, 36 divided by 12 is 3, 108 divided by 36 is 3, 324 divided by 108 is 3. Okay, looking at letter C here, negative 1/3, 1/9, negative 1/27, 1/81. Okay, if we look here, negative 1/3 to get to 1/9, that means I multiplied by a negative 1/3. Because a negative times a negative gives me a positive. Negative 1/9 times negative 1/3 gives me negative 1/27. And then negative 1/27 times negative 1/3 gives me positive 181. So yes, that one is also, and our common ratio is negative 1/3. So that time we multiplied by a fraction. And then we look at the last one here, 1, 4, 9, 16. That one is a no. That's actually our perfect squares formula. But, you know, 1 times what is 4? Well, 1 times 4 is 4. And 4 times 4 is not 9, so that one doesn't work. So that's how you tell geometric or not. So multiply by a common number, geometric. As we did today in class, adding a common number, it's arithmetic. Okay, here is the general formula to find a geometric sequence. Just like I gave you a formula for arithmetic, I'm giving you a formula for geometric as well here. Okay, so example 2 says write the first 5 terms of this sequence. So I know the first term, that's A1. And I know R is 1/3. So to get each term, I'm multiplying by 1/3. So I'm just going to take 9, that's my first term, and 9 times 1/3 is 9/3, which reduces to 3. And 3 times 1/3 is 3/3, which reduces to 1. And then we have 1 times 1/3, which is 1/3. And we have 1/3 times 1/3, which is 1/9. There's the first 5 terms. Done. Okay? That's a pretty easy one right there. Example 3 here, it says find A15, which means find the 15th term of this sequence where A1 is 20 and R is 1.05. So one way to do it would be to start with the 20 and then just keep multiplying by 1.05 until you have 15 numbers. And that's the long way. The shortcut way would be to use this formula right here. So what we're saying here is N is 15. So I want to find A15. Okay? Well, I'm just going to substitute in. A1 is 20. R is 1.05, and then R is raised to the n minus 1. So that's 15 minus 1, which is going to be 14. Okay? So if you were typing this in your calculator, like you wanted to type it all in your calculator, you do 20, 1.05 raised, but then if you're going to do 15 minus 1 like that, you have to put it in parentheses. So that would give you the answer. I think the better way to do it is to go ahead and just say, okay, 15 minus 1 is 14, and do it like that. And we get our answer 39.60. Okay? So here, A15 is 39.60. All right? Not too bad there either. All right, example 4, it says find the formula for the sequence. So what we're saying is we want to find, just what this general pattern would be, kind of like we did with the arithmetic today in class. But this one's actually easier because we don't have to simplify it. It's already simplified. So in looking at this one, we have 5 is my A1. If I look at the pattern here, 5 to 15, that means I multiply by 3. 15 to 45, multiply by 3. So that means that R is 3. Okay? So when I go to write my formula, I've got AN equals, we go A1, which is 5, just using my formula right here. And then R is 3 raised to the n minus 1. And I'm done. You can't simplify this because we don't know what n is. So there's nothing to distribute, nothing to multiply out. Can't do it. Okay? Now if you look down at the next question, it says find the 9th term. Well, the 9th term means to find A9, which means I just substituted in a 9 for n. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say 5 times 3 raised to the 9 minus 1. Or 5 times 3 to the 8th. Okay? And that's how I would type it in my calculator, is I would take and say, okay, 5 times 3 raised to the 8th, and I get 32,805. And that is the 9th term. Now here again, you could have written the whole thing out until you got to the 9th number, but sometimes using the formula is just a little bit shorter. All right, so that's the sequences. Tomorrow in class, we'll do the back of the sheet. I'll talk about how to find the sums for geometrics, and you will have a daily check in class tomorrow, so make sure you're prepared for that, and we'll see you guys in class.